Cardano right now is like a mass of fissile material, as if we've spent the last several years just adding uranium 235 gram by gram. We're now finally approaching that 52 kilo threshold where we reach critical mass, and there's no stopping what that core does next all by itself. Ready? Let's go. We're going to talk about the SundaeSwap runtime verification audit finally being complete, and one, I think, pretty revealing response to that. We're also going to talk about the Yoroi dApp connector being on nightly. Also from Emergo, a new NFT marketplace called Fibonacci's Light. No, I think it's actually called Fiborite. I think it's called Fiborite. And a new Coty partnership for Djed and Ergodex. SundaeSwap posted this today. We are pleased to announce the audit completion of the SundaeSwap protocol. Our experience working with runtime verification has been nothing short of spectacular, as it should be. We've known about runtime verification for a long time. This is Grigory Rosu's group. They are the creators of the K framework, which Charles has talked about a million times and has become a part of Cardano through projects to incorporate programmers of other languages beyond just Haskell. You've probably most recently heard Charles make reference to Yella in one of his videos just over the holidays. So, if you've been around Cardano for a while and you hear that SundaeSwap's audit has been completed by runtime verification, you're probably excited about it. That sounds like a great thing. If they can do mission critical software, which is, I believe, what we've been told, mission critical software for NASA, not just random NASA contractors, but mission critical software for NASA. If they're capable of that, if NASA trusts them to do that, they can probably audit SundaeSwap. But what's easy to forget is that this group of us who've been around Cardano for a while, even if you've been around Cardano for 6 months at this point, you're in a small elite group when we compare your knowledge of Cardano to that of what could turn into a festival of Cardano noobs in 2022. If Cardano blows up in 2022, we might be faced with hordes of noobs who will know nothing about anything to do with Cardano. This is probably inevitable as we grow. But I think SundaeSwap experienced a little bit of that right here in their post. The very first reaction that popped up in my feed was this question: why not Certic or something more mainstream? Correct me if I'm wrong, just never heard of these people before. So this is probably an expected response for somebody who comes to Cardano from the Ethereum side of things. If you don't know, Certic is this company who does a lot of auditing on the Ethereum side. And you've probably heard Charles reference them also recently when he talked about the already existing smart contract auditors out there who are beginning to be in talks with Cardano or already doing things with Cardano. Certic is the group that's heavily based around the Yale Computer Science Department. And with their recent funding round, they might be worth $1 billion. So, no surprise that someone coming to Cardano from an Ethereum perspective wouldn't know anything about runtime verification and would wonder why you're not using Certic. But it kind of reminds me of a scenario where you're going out to buy, say, a Tesla, and your neighbor's like, "Hey, man, you should just buy a Ford F-150, number one truck in America." You can't expect the Ford F-150 guy to understand why you'd ever want a Tesla. And I think Pi Lanningham of SundaeSwap does a great job here, gently explaining what's going on. He says, at the time, Certic wasn't doing Cardano audits. True. Additionally, RV has a lot of really prestigious audits under their belt, Uniswap and NASA, to give two examples. We refer to them by IOG directly. And instantly, this poster understands. He says, "Thank you. I did not know that. That's an acceptable answer." We might run into this a lot over the next year. If all of these dApps launch, we might have this influx of people who want to use these dApps because they're sick of Ethereum gas fees. They hate this centralization, or at least perceived centralization, whatever we want to call it. We won't debate that point today, of Solana. But they may not like Solana. They may not like Ethereum anymore. They may not be crazy about any of their blockchains. And they might come into Cardano purely because they want to use the dApps that run on Cardano. Maybe they like some of the things that we're about over here on the Cardano side too. But they may come in with a very heavy bias towards the account balance world of Ethereum. They may have no understanding whatsoever of an extended UTXO system, of Cardano's functional programming paradigm. They may not care at all about any of these things. They're not going to be familiar with the normal players in the Cardano ecosystem, the people who've been around for a long time, the projects that are brand new. They may not know or care about any of this. And if Cardano blows up in 2022, just in terms of adoption here, we don't usually talk about price on this channel. We're just talking about adoption here as well. But if Cardano blows up in terms of adoption, we might see all kinds of misunderstandings, odd questions, just like this. But I hope we as a community do as good a job as Pi did here in gently explaining what's going on and not being like instantly offended. In fact, down below here, you'll see that same poster someone said, this is such constructive conversation. This is what we need. And down below, the original poster said, it was until people ruined it by being rude after Quan. I guess he's still calling Pi Quan after his handle Quantumplation. After Quan provided a very kind answer. And we won't go through the other responses. But I hope our sort of welcoming of the noobs, if we do have this influx of noobs, looks a lot more like this response and a lot less like us being defensive and mean when people ask questions that aren't so expected. In other long-awaited news, the Yoroi dApp connector is now available on Yoroi Nightly so that people can test it out before the Yoroi final release. I think it used to be kind of a question. I used to ask this question all the time on this very channel in the early days. What would be the MetaMask of Cardano? And the first answer I really heard to that question was that Emergo was developing a dApp connector, and it was unclear whether it was going to be a standalone thing. And then became clear it was going to be a part of the Yoroi wallet. That was fantastic news. And then we saw a bunch of other wallets kind of lead the charge into dApp connection. And we got, I think a lot of people are using Nami now for a lot of dApp connection on NFT things and CC Vault as well. We're finally seeing the Yoroi dApp connector. And it looks like there's still a ways to go. Here we have the SundaeSwap team down below here saying, we are eager to test and would like to start integrating you on testnet for SundaeSwap, but we keep getting confused by your API. Please get in touch with us. So it sounds like there's still a ways to go before projects actually have the Yoroi dApp connector sort of get integrated into their projects. But I think this is great to hear. It's also from Emergo, we have a new NFT marketplace coming. It is not called Fibonacci's Lite. It is called Fiborite. Fiborite. So we have the Fiborite NFT marketplace coming. I think we're going to have plenty of NFT marketplace and DEX coverage. We have got a lot of NFT marketplaces and a lot of DEXs. I can't wait for the first very, very successful Cardano dApp that people actually want to use. Not something so niche that very, very few people want to use it, but something that a lot of people want to use that's an unexpected genre of dApp. I think in the crypto space in general, we see a lot of duplication in the same use cases, which makes sense economically. Economically, if you know DEXs work, if you know NFT marketplaces work, of course it's easier to convince people to build one of those with you than some brand new use case. But I can't wait. I can't wait for the first brand new use case on Cardano that's super successful. And I won't be surprised if it's something that becomes possible only because of, or is much more convenient to create because of EUTXO architecture, something that wasn't as easy to create in an account balance environment. I hope we see something like that. I'm positive we will. I just don't know how long it'll take before we see something really successful that's sort of a brand new use case. And it'll be great if it's something that is only enabled by EUTXO architecture or is optimized by EUTXO architecture. Finally, we also saw another Coty partnership for Djed, this time with Ergodex. This one's pretty interesting because Ergo already had the Age USD stablecoin, which is kind of based on that same Tricoin system described in the Djed paper. You go back to the Djed paper, you'll read about sort of like what they sort of describe as like a, I don't want to call it a more naive implementation, but a slightly different implementation. And I believe the Djed we're going to see out of Coty is going to be sort of the second or a more advanced implementation described in that paper. But it's interesting that Ergodex is partnering with Coty with Djed. I think we're really seeing Djed become kind of the standard for stablecoins in Cardano, just like we expected. It's interesting because we got two entities, Coty and Ergo, neither of which are really Cardano entities. I mean, we kind of think of them as like, heavily allied with us in Cardano, sort of part of the Cardano ecosystem, but those are separate blockchains. It's really interesting that Djed is already sort of becoming the uniform stablecoin, and there are already three different blockchains involved here. Or in the case of Coty, I guess we can't call them a blockchain, but crypto projects. We've talked before about how composability among all of our different sort of DeFi platforms in Cardano is definitely a universal good, and people seem to regard it that way. I think all these different projects embracing Djed may end up being an important piece of that. We've got other stablecoin coin projects, and there will probably be valuable other stablecoins in the Cardano ecosystem. No surprise there. But I think having one stable coin, it's great if we have many, but having at least one that sort of spans all the different projects that are a part of the ecosystem or sort of allied with the ecosystem is going to be an important part of that composability, so that Cardano DeFi is this big interlocking thing and we can sort of move in and out of projects with the least amount of friction possible. Hope you're having a great week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.